Question: where was Israel? Where were they looking when they were suddenly, when there were such massive incursions into their country by Hamas? What were they thinking? I thought Israel had some of the best intelligence in the world. I think many are surprised. Like, how could Israel have been taken by surprise? The question is not whether, uh, uh, it's not how could Israel be taken by surprise. Maybe it's a legitimate question, of course, but um, it should be more about who was taken by surprise and who was not taken by surprise. Who were those who knew that this was coming? How timely it was to somehow follow the $6 billion return to Iran that had been held back for years. So, and then Iran is behind the funding of Hamas, Hezbollah, and maybe a few others, like the Islamic Jihad. So, question: who was taken by surprise and who was not taken by surprise? Because some were not taken by surprise. It's about who are these who are more loyal to their courts than they are to their country. And where is this game? It's all about the one world government. I think it was in 2021 or so, I was explaining on this program I explained the involvement of the Freemasons in the one world government pursuit. Now, when I talk about the Freemasons, I'm not talking about the junior Freemasons that, some of you who are not serious Christians might have been a part of, and then you think you're into something. You haven't even started. So just be calm and listen to me, and don't start getting uncomfortable. He's talking about Freemason. I love Freemason. Relax yourself. Albert Pike, the Grand Commander and Sovereign Pontiff of the Universal Freemasonry, made the statement I'm going to read to you in a moment. In his vision and plan for the Third World War, and I explained this to you before. I explained on this program before. This was the Sovereign Pontiff, the Grand Commander of Freemason, the Universal Freemasons. So let me read to you so you understand what you're seeing, because they're following the Grand Commander's plan. He said the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati. What do you mean, agentur? It means the agency of the Illuminati. You see it? So they're going to use the help of the Illuminati to foment this trouble. How? The Illuminati will take advantage of the differences between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. Now, the term political Zionist is another broad term because political Zionist doesn't just mean the Jews. It means all those who support Israel. And that drags Christians right into it. They are referred to globally among political Zionists. Is there anywhere they sing songs of Zion more than among Christians? But I'll read more. You would notice in a second. So don't, it's not just, these are not just off the cuff statements. No, listen. So he says, the agency of the Illuminati will take advantage of the differences between what? The political Zionists and the Islamic world. I read further. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. So, who is instigating the war? Look at it. The Illuminati will instigate the war by taking advantage of the differences between political Zionism and the Islamic world leaders. So, this is a war on different fronts. And I told you about the words, the term used by George Bush Sr. when he called it 1,000 points of lights. That's a statement from the Illuminati. And they tell you they're coming at you from different positions. Like how Saddam Hussein was lured into Kuwait. And I read you those details as well. So it wasn't Saddam Hussein who just woke up one day and wanted to move into Kuwait. No. An official was sent to Saddam Hussein to advise him that it would be a good idea to move into Kuwait and that America will not do anything about it. He shouldn't be worried. Then he moved into Kuwait, and the next thing he knew, Gulf War. But these are not secret things. I gave you the name of the lady who went there, April Glaspie. So he was lured into Kuwait. So who sent her? The members of the Illuminati. So hear what Pike says, Albert Pike. He says, meanwhile, other nations once more divided on this issue. Okay, on what issue? The problem between the political Zionists and Islam. Now, think about it. When the Ukrainian war with Russia at least dominated the news, and Israel was kind of making some headway with friendships with some of the Arab nations, everybody wondered where was the enmity between Israel and the Palestinians. It seemed like it had gone to the, it was, nobody was thinking about it. It was like off the table. It wasn't off the table for the Illuminati. At the right time, they were advised that this was the moment to strike. So you strike, and what happens? What happens? Israel returns fire for fire in a very devastating way. Now, Israel will be accused of killing a fly with a sledgehammer. That's what's going to happen. All those who are supporting Israel right now, they're going to turn against Israel. Those nations that are saying, yeah, they're going to turn against Israel soon. And they're going to say, it's too much. So while Israel is fighting this, already Hezbollah and to the northern part of Israel, from their southern Lebanon territories, started trying some things. They attacked some of the military positions of Israel, and Israel responded. But war has not been declared. So very likely, Israel fights this one, and now they've moved their soldiers also to the northern border. So they're going to be fighting on two fronts very soon. But it's going to be more than that, because Iran is funding Hezbollah and funding Hamas, and they're not hiding it, and they're saying so. So Israel will have to take actions against Iran. So very likely, the plan from these people who are behind this is to instigate Israel to attack Iran. So they're going to be fighting Hamas and fighting Hezbollah and fighting Iran. And since they're fighting for their lives, they're going to be very devastating. And because they're fighting that, then Islamic Jihad from Pakistan joins. And that drags as envisioned by the planners of this. That drags the Arab world into it all. So they declare intifada. Intifada means to shake off, literally, which really is a term to refer to uprising. So it's a kind of rebellion. So what you're seeing is, I told you about the polarization of nations. And I told you about this phase of polarization and what we were about to see and when it began. I told you it was going to go on. So you're going to have those that are pro-China. You have those that are pro-Europe. And of course, China will be friends with Russia. And then I wonder which one will your country join? You see, so they're going to be so polarized. This is what they plan to do. This is what they plan to do. Listen again to Albert Pike's plan here. It says, meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. See, they want to get the world exhausted, frustrated. He says, we shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. Think about it. They will unleash unleash the nihilists and the atheists. So they know. See, the Freemasons understand. Because when people get into the Freemasons, they tell them that it's not a religion. But it is a religion. Albert Pike said it's a religion. Albert Pike, the Grand Commander, Sovereign Pontiff, stated very clearly that it is a religion. And not only that it is a religion, he stated several times that Lucifer is God. So if you don't know and you are in the Freemason, I want you to understand that the real doctrine of Freemasonry is that Lucifer, Satan, is God. That's their doctrine. So if you don't understand, if you're a Freemason, you are a worshiper of Satan. You're a Satanist. So if you are not yet aware, you are not high enough yet. Because Albert Pike said this should be told only to those of the 31st and 32nd degrees. So if you're not yet that high, you're not going to know. Listen to what he says. He says, we shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. What is he saying? See, they hate atheism. Why? Because they believe that Lucifer, Satan, is God. So they're saying there is a God. So they despise the atheists. So they're going to use them. So in the beginning, the atheists would think that they're on the same page. The nihilists would think they're on the same page. Even the Illuminati would think they're on the same page because they're only using them. You see it? So he goes on to say this. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. See, that's what they want. They believe that somehow the people become so frustrated and flabbergasted and will be against Christianity. They become disillusioned with Christianity. And in that case, and he describes Christianity of that period. He says, Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction. You see it? They believe that the Christians will, at that time, be without compass, without direction. And anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Look at that. So his plan is the elimination, the extermination of Christianity and atheism at the same time. So he shows how to make it happen. And so the Third World War that he is planning, or that he was planning, was to bring the whole world into such a chaotic situation for the manifestation of Lucifer as the true God. So this is what it's about. This is what it's about. So they expect this war to culminate, this war in the Middle East. And while this is going on, the one in Russia and Ukraine will be going on. And that will drag NATO into it because it gets worse now in that kind of situation. And then they expect China to move into the other small country, what do they call it? Taiwan. They expect that. And then pretentious America will act like they're going to fight back. But I have news for them. I have news for them. There will be a third world war. There will be. But not yet. They can create this chaos and pretend to be traveling up and down to bring peace between nations, which they don't want, because this is aimed at getting the world, just like they wanted, after the COVID vaccine failed, Bill Gates announced that there will be another, we have him on tape. He announced that there will be another pandemic and that this one will be taken more seriously. Interesting. He said there will be another pandemic and this will be taken more seriously because that first one failed. So, in the same way, the Ukraine war has not yet yielded the full results expected. So this one has to be brought in. You know, there are some people who think that this is a reaction to the planned peace treaty between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and that possibly the Palestinians didn't want it. Well, that's not really what's behind it. That is only one of the public excuses. But I've just told you that there are those who are behind it. And the same way that Saddam Hussein was invited to move into Kuwait, and the same people that moved him into Kuwait fought him. The same way the Palestinians have been encouraged, the Hamas, to be more precise. Hamas has been encouraged through Iran. Iran was encouraged to sponsor Hamas and tell Hamas, this is the time. This is the time to move in. Move in and everything will be fine. But it wasn't planned to be fine. It was planned to be devastating, no end in sight, and the trouble to continue and culminate in a world war. But if you look at the Bible,